I'm with Katherine Alfredo at Bamboo in Coronado, California. Thank you so much for the class today, and thank you for joining me.
My pleasure.
I've been with Katherine a couple of times now, and Bamboo's my favorite, but you're my favorite teacher, so I'm thrilled to include you in my journey, and I'm curious, how did you get interested in yoga?
I was in college, my first year of college, and I stumbled into a class. It was just kind of one of those things where I knew the teacher and took the class with my sister, and I had no idea what to expect. And just in the first class, I started to recognize, like, oh, that's my arm, you know? It was just reclaiming these different parts of my body that I had totally disconnected with in my teenage years. And I started to quiet my mind down and exhaust this nasty kind of energy that I was feeling building in my body, and just like purify it. And it was a unbelievable experience. It was so helpful for me because I think that my teenage years were really challenging for me, and it was like I found what I needed.
I'm so glad, because that's been a common thread and a passion of mine, is to reach girls at that age, and not just girls, but people at that age that are so uncomfortable in their bodies. How can yoga help you, like, explore and understand that?
Yeah, it's amazing because you walk around in this body, but it's like all these other things that are happening in our lives numb us out, you know, fear, or, you know, just a bad conversation or somebody else's energy that you pick up and you don't even realize it. You're just putting it on. You're just taking it around with you, and we start to just disconnect. And, you know, for me in my teenage years, I had eating disorders. I was hanging out with people that weren't healthy for me and involved in, you know, experimenting in drugs, and it was a very confusing time. My parents had just gotten divorced. I just didn't know what love felt, and it was one of those things where, you know, I was walking around numb. And walking into that yoga class, it was, I probably didn't know what I was doing, but I know I liked it and I needed to know more. And I remember walking out feeling alive, feeling like I claimed myself back. Like all of a sudden my spirit was starting to come back into my body a little bit at a time. So I just kept going back and turning on again, just coming back to life.
That's beautiful, and I'm sure so many people can relate to that. Thank you for sharing all that, because it's so true. There are so many people who go through different things, and it's easy to disconnect. Why did you choose forest yoga?
Well, Anna Forrest is one of the strongest women that probably walk this earth. And she had a similar story where she had physical traumas in her life, emotional trauma, and she just went through some of the same things like eating disorders. And her mission is to help people reclaim their lives, to just set down what is no longer serving you, what was maybe a defense mechanism at one point in your life that, you know, helped you stay steady, but it's not serving you, and to just let it go. And her message speaks to me. I love her process for letting go. I love her method of yoga. It works for me. It's that holding the poses for a while and just, you know, allowing yourself to fully feel. And when you come up against some of those edges, some of those things that we don't want to feel, you have the option to get out of the pose, fly out of your body, or to actually stay in and feel and sweat and release it. And when you move into the next pose or into the rest of your day, you're not carrying around that hardening anymore. And when you leave Anna Forrest's class, it's like you're flying, you know.
Well, when I've left your class, that's how I feel. You're an amazing teacher. You have a beautiful gift. And for yourself personally, how has your personal practice impacted you now that you're giving so much as a teacher? But what do you take personally from yoga?
Well, as I started to heal myself with this forest yoga and trying other styles of yoga and learning and just practicing a lot and developing my own practice, I didn't feel like a victim anymore. I didn't feel like I was tired or anything. I really felt strong and empowered. And when I went to my Forest Yoga Foundational Teacher Training, I didn't quite know I wanted to be a teacher. I just knew I wanted to work in that capacity, practicing. And by the time I left, I realized I am a teacher. And it took a couple years to get started, to get those nerves when you walk into the class and start teaching. And then as time goes on, you don't get those nerves as much, you get excited. And it was a real eye-opener when I realized that, you know, my practice is one thing and I love it and it's every day. And then there's this other part, which is teaching. So when I go in to teach people, give somebody that practice, that thing that I love so much, and just hold space for them for an hour and a half, that is such a great gift, and it's such a good feeling. So even if I'm going through something in my day, like, oh, my car broke down, I have to fix it, blah, 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 and then I go in and I teach, my stuff is secondary, and it just reconnects me to what I love so much. And it's the second part of my practice.
Awesome, that's beautiful. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I'm sure when somebody comes to Coronado, they'll find you. Bamboo is easy to find.
Yeah.
And look for Katherine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.